Well, James Wan did it again. Saw, Insidious, The Conjuring. Time and time again, he just pumps out either straight classics or underrated cult gems like Death Sentence or Dead Silence. Also, he did a movie about a fish man. Dude makes movies that do basically whatever the fuck he wants them to. That dead guy there? Yeah, he's the killer the whole time. Oh, Insidious 2? Yeah, we're not just making a ghost movie anymore. We're going to go back and show the biggest scares from our first installment. We're just the main characters in a weird shadow dimension. This massive studio tentpole? Guess what? Kraken. Fuck you, I'm James Wan. His latest film, Malignant, absconds with this shameless cinematic badassery and takes it one step forward. Dude just made $1 billion blockbuster and immediately cashed his chips to make a project that was all him. Well, all him and his wife, who apparently came up with the idea without any studio tomfoolery. Now, guys, this is immediately going to descend into spoilers, and while I think the majority of you will figure out the twist right off the bat, here's the warning. It's in theaters and on HBO Max. Hit that shit up, yo. Anyway, also, I'm going to say, I do recommend seeing this in theaters. I'm going to get into it, but no matter what I say, I do recommend seeing it in theaters. Anyway, now that all the narcs are gone, you the remaining hip cats already know that this is basically James Wan channeling Euro horror and remaking Basket Case as a tale of the ultimate sibling rivalry. Or connection? Sibling connection? Rivalry? Connection? I don't know what works better. Anyway, it's like if The Good Son had Elijah Wood and Macaulay Culkin as conjoined twins, as directed by 90s Dario Argento with a directing guest spot from Chui Hark. Shit, let's throw in a producing spot for Frank Henenlotter as well. I feel like that's almost legally obligated at this point. Anyway, it's utterly bananas. And kind of boring. Now, look, I know this isn't a popular opinion, but even going back and rewatching on HBO Max after my first viewing at one of them fancy movie houses, Malignant turns into a proper slog about a quarter of the way through and doesn't really get back up to speed until the mama hits the floor. Sure, there is a fun enough chase sequence nestled in there, but all in all, I found myself really tuckered out watching this thing. Which is strange because it should be 100% organic my shit. Now, Malignant is a dumb movie, but it's dumb by design. It's literally the story of a woman living in the most James Wan horror movie house that could possibly exist in suburban Seattle, I guess, with an attic that just so happens to look like all the warehouse settings of his early work. And this woman has the world's most insane malady, the remains of her surgically removed demonic conjoined twin, or I think they call it like a parasitic twin or something, anyway, who can control...
It was like he was drinking the electricity and controlling our machines.
Electricity, I guess, is stuffed and sealed into the back of her skull, and after her hubby shoves his pregnant wife against a wall, domestic abuse isn't funny, guys. That twin is released and begins taking over her body and committing bloody vengeance a la Basket Case. And she sees this vengeance in highly stylized CGI transitions and eventually comes to learn that she's in fact in a mental prison whenever her brother Gabriel is out stabbing faces with a medical trophy. This is some dumb fuck insanity, and on paper, I am all in.
I thought I was the only good-looking guy here working late.
Now this case... strange one. You age that up?
Now, James Wan is dealing in archetypes and tropes here, and for a good cause. See, Malignant is certainly a horror film, but it's also comedy.
It's time we cut out the cancer.
Again, I'm not breaking any big news here. I think most hardcore horror fans and those who loved the movie picked up on this. The melodramatic dialogue and plot twists, the stock detectives, the hypnotherapist scene, the black-gloved murderer, the endless array of exterior house shots that Wan has become known for, the lead detective chasing a psychotic killer through an underground city without calling for backup. You know, tropes. Anyone who thinks Wan is doing this unintentionally is out of their goddamn gourd. Dude loves a good bit of stock storytelling blocks, and here he has built a whole damn gothic castle out of them. Although some of these interview things with him, I'm kind of I'm a little concerned that he actually isn't in on the joke.
With Malignant, it was very important for me to create an original story. I think audiences are starved for something that's new and different.
If you dare. Basket case.
But I think he is. I'm pretty sure. I'm like 99% sure. Anyway, it is also a very campy film by design, something that's also obvious based on, well, most of the decisions. The lead, Annabelle Wallis, is incredibly two-dimensional and spends most of her time spouting melodramatic dialogue, screaming, and staring. She's got about as much charisma as the Annabelle doll. I'm not good at trashing people.
Fuck him.
Whether or not that's on the actor herself is beyond me, since I'm not really familiar with her other work, but suffice it to say, I don't think she's done many favors here. If I had to guess, I guess I'd assume that Juan purposefully requested that she turn in a somewhat stilted melodramatic performance, something I honestly might have enjoyed if that camp level was turned up just a smidge higher, be it in her performance or the script. Although this, this could honestly just be one of those examples like in Tough Guys Don't Dance, where you had Ryan O'Neal reading a line that was just impossible to get right, and he turned into a meme. So I don't know.
Oh, man. Oh, God. Oh, man.
Anything's possible with these things. Anyway, she's got a great look for the material. If her eyes got any wider, they'd probably flop out of her skull. She even has a damn fine scream. This shot in particular, pairing her lung gymnastics with some ace cinematography, red and blue lights, physically appearing in the scene before transitioning to actual squad car cherries, it's beautiful. And hey, she cries and screams and shakes, and it all just doesn't really connect with me. And honestly, that might just be my sense of humor not quite lining up with Juan's. There's such a massive love of this film from the horror community that I feel that has to be the case. There's no way that so many people could love Dogs. Ace. Oh, food is here. Okay. All right, cool. Yeah.
I don't know if you got the notice.
I think food's here. There's just such a massive love for this film from the horror community that I feel that that has to be the case. There's just no way that so many people could love what goes down so much, with the twist being that my opinion is magically the correct one. And I'll readily admit that I think that I just have a weird opinion. Simple as that. Maybe history will be on my side. I don't know. However, I would like to suggest one big criticism beyond the lame Butch and Disco team up against Miss Wallace in the prison. That shit was cringe as fuck, yo. And that's that this is a film that hinges entirely on its third act. Once that big twist is revealed and Gabriel comes out to play in all his glorious backward body insanity, killing off cops like Neo in The Matrix and treating chairs like Walter White treats pizza, Juan basically turns the ridiculousness up to 11. It's not something that really turned me on like it did so many people. Like, just watch a good Hong Kong horror flick and you've already got a good 40 more minutes of quality cheesy nonsense. But the fact he used his Aquaman clout and made this is definitely impressive. There's no way a small-time director could get this type of batshittery into theaters, especially with the additional he's eating your fetuses twist.
Feeding off of your fetuses to build himself back up! What the fuck?
That shit's gnarly, and definitely not a mainstream choice. Neither twist surprised me, nor do I think it surprised any other horror fanatics. It's basically elevated basket case, I guess, with a heaping load of Juanishness and some Eurotrash aesthetic heaped on for good measure, which in theory should be my jam, but between knowing where it was heading the whole time and the slow middle, with a few surprises beyond, oh shit, he's actually getting away with this, I don't know, man. It isn't the masterpiece in my eyes that it is in so many others. Add to that, the gore is fine. I gotta say, when you tell me something has its roots in giallo and European horror, I kinda expect a bit more drawn out cruelty and creative kills. While the image of Gabriel stabbing this dude is legit iconic stuff, like that's beautiful, the kills and horror sequences in general really left me wanting, partially because of how conservative they feel for the most part up until the police station sequence, and partially because of just how digital most of the big murder set pieces wind up being. And look, there's some great physical gags. Like there's a ton of like just gore that they made for the movie, but a lot of it is given that little extra CGI polish that I just don't like. It just doesn't help that much. It works in action movies quite a bit, but in a horror film, I feel like it takes that visceral effect and just pulls you out of it a bit. It softens it. I think it's this like theoretically polished, budgeted veneer that makes the attempts at camp and melodrama come off so stilted in all the wrong ways. This is very obviously a Hollywood production, cosplaying as a grindhouse bloodbath, right down to the boring parts, which, you know, I thought Tarantino did all right replicating that in Death Proof, for example, but that's also a film that imbues a lot of that writer's voice into the characters, who are certainly not as memorable as most others in his oeuvre, but nonetheless transcend what could often wind up being pretty humdrum in the films he's stealing from. With Malignant, it doesn't feel like Juan or his screenwriter, I forgot her name, but this lady. This woman. Yeah. It doesn't feel like Juan is really doing much in the script to differentiate himself or insert a voice. It's just him saying, well, a lot of great movies I'm riffing on have stilted performances and walking stereotypes, so fuck it, I guess that'll do. To which I have to ask, if you have the resources to make something with more staying power, something that subverts those tropes and creates some narrative shock and surprise, why not do it? I know this is maybe a little hypocritical since I made a whole movie that's just me copying Neil Breen, but like, if I had a fucking blank check from a studio to just do whatever the fuck I want, it would certainly be more than just, LOL, look at how dumb this is. And this is, of course, again, assuming that he's 100% in on the joke and not just, you know, relying on a screenwriter who, like, didn't do the job correctly. Like, there's all kinds of possibilities here. In some interviews, he's even suggested, you know, that this is, like, a twist that people aren't going to figure out. Like, I am uncertain about his exact culpability in how farcical this is. Anyway, I could go on, but this is just meant to be a short review video. So to round things out, I just want to note that I did like Malignant just fine. I didn't hate this movie. Thanks to its grindhouse premise, heaps of dynamic cinematography, that amazing use of Safari Riot's Where Is My Mind cover, holy shit, and just the audacity of it all. I appreciate the attempt, and I'm really looking forward to whatever the fuck Juan follows Aquaman 2 with. How we react to media, how our mind subjectively works through what's presented to us, even when it seems catered to our sensibilities, is a wild thing. I'm honestly shocked I didn't love this. But if you're like me and found yourself disappointed by just how much the cliches and attempts at camp worked against the film in spite of them on paper being exactly what the doctor ordered, just know you're not alone. I'm right there with you. Now, by the way, I did watch the Reddit Letter Media review after writing this review. You know, I disagree about the movie being confusing. I think one of them said that. But overall, I think I'm more or less on the same page, more so with Jay. You know, I think this is a lot of fun. I think you should definitely see it in theaters. And that's more from an objective standpoint. From a subjective standpoint, you know, I didn't really have that good of a time. But I do think it's probably more rewarding as time goes on. I didn't mention like how rad the opening scene is. I didn't mention the fact that Gabriel is a fucking amazing creation. You know, definitely, you know, check it out. Make up your own opinion. Don't shit on people for having different opinions. I've seen that as well. I've seen people like really like, I think it was CM Punk that tweeted out that, you know, he would judge people based on if they liked this movie or not. It's not that great. Like, let's be totally fucking honest here. Like, it is a very specific type of humor, and if you don't jive with it, you're just not going to jive with it. Like, that's just how it is. I do think a lot of people aren't quite grasping the humor, and they're just taking it as a straight horror movie. That also is probably not the right way to do it. I'm telling people how to have opinions now. What the fuck? But you know, it is perfectly fine. If you want me to do a deeper dive, let me know in the comments. You know, I'm not big on delving too deep into movies that I don't particularly care for, but also I love clicks. So, you know, let me know. And of course, you can join all the patrons that are scrolling by right now by clicking on the link below and joining that there Patreon. We got a $3 a month tier and a $10 a month tier, also a $50 a month tier that like one person is always utilizing. which I do need to send out those pins at some point. Anyway, come join me, you know, and then of course like, subscribe, all that jazz. And if you have a different opinion or just want to say like, you know, how cute my greasy hair is, then you know, comment below, man. Go watch a movie.